Today, we profile President George Washington, the greatest American before there was an America, the sage of Mount Vernon, the commander of the Continental Army in the American Revolutionary War, the father of our country, America's first president. George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia. His early life was marked by the challenges of a relatively modest upbringing in a Virginia planter family. Washington's father died when he was just 11, leaving him to help his mother manage the family estate. Washington's formal education was limited, with most of his schooling taking place at home through private tutors and self-study. Washington's early ambition was to become a surveyor, and at the age of 16, he took up the profession. In 1753, Washington's military career began when he was appointed as a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War. Washington's first major military experience came in 1754 when he was involved in the skirmish that led to the Battle of Jumonville Glen, marking the start of the war. Despite early setbacks, including the disastrous Battle of Fort Necessity in 1754, Washington's reputation as a resilient and capable officer began to grow. Washington's experiences during the war, particularly his knowledge of military strategy and his ability to inspire loyalty amongst his troops, would serve him well in his later leadership roles. He married Martha Custis, a wealthy widow, in 1759, and he settled at Mount Vernon, his plantation along the Potomac River in Virginia, and became involved in local politics and business ventures. He was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses, where he developed a growing sense of opposition to British colonial policies, particularly the Stamp Act of 1765 and the Townshend Acts of 1767, which imposed taxes on the American colonies. Washington's increasing frustration with British rule mirrored the broader sentiments of many American colonists, and he became an advocate for colonial rights. By the early 1770s, as tensions between the colonies and Great Britain escalated, Washington became an active supporter of the colonial cause, attending the First and Second Continental Congresses in 1774 and 1775. The American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, was the defining conflict of Washington's career. When the war broke out, Washington was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. His leadership was soon put to the test in a series of early setbacks. But Washington's persistence and strategic insight eventually turned the tide in favor of the American cause. Washington's ability to rally his troops became a hallmark of his leadership. His famous crossing of the Delaware River on Christmas night 1776 led to the surprise victories at Trenton and Princeton, revitalizing American morale. His decision to spend the winter at Valley Forge in 1777, despite severe hardships and lack of supplies, exemplified his determination and forged a more professional and disciplined army. Washington's leadership played a key role in the eventual victory over the British. The decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781 led to the British surrender. Washington's leadership throughout the Revolution earned him the admiration of his fellow American and foreign allies alike. Washington then retired to Mount Vernon. However, his services were once again called upon in 1787 when he was elected to preside over the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. The result was the United States Constitution, which established a federal government with a system of checks and balances. Washington played a key role in ensuring the success of the convention, and his support helped the Constitution's ratification. In 1789 and again in 1793, Washington was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States. Washington faced numerous challenges, including setting up a new government, managing foreign relations, and addressing the fierce rivalry that emerged within his cabinet between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. He established many precedents for the office, including the formation of a cabinet, the policy of neutrality in foreign conflicts, the two-term limit for presidents, and peaceful transfer of power, and the use of the title Mr. President. Washington's administration oversaw the creation of key institutions such as the Bank of the United States, the Department of State, and the Department of the Treasury. Despite growing political factions and disagreements, Washington remained committed to national unity and stability. His farewell address in 1796, which warned against political parties and foreign entanglements, remains one of his most significant contributions to American political thought. Washington retired from the presidency in 1797 and returned to Mount Vernon. He spent the final years of his life managing his estate and focusing on agricultural improvements. He died on December 14th, 1799, at the age of 67, leaving behind a legacy of leadership, sacrifice, and vision. Many places and monuments have been named in honor of Washington, including the capital city of Washington, D.C., the state of Washington, and the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. Washington appears as one of 4 presidents on the Shrine of Democracy, a colossal sculpture by Goodson Borglum on Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. Here are a few quotes by President George Washington. In politics, as in philosophy, my tenets are few and simple, the leading one of which is to be honest and just ourselves and to exact it from others, meddling as little as possible in their affairs where our own are not involved. If this maxim was generally adopted, wars would cease and our swords would soon be converted into reap hooks and our harvest be more peaceful, abundant, and happy. Peace and war, to be prepared for, is one of the most effective means of preserving peace and virtue. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. Perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. Happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's mind than on the externals in the world. Here's a letter that President Washington wrote on October 3rd, 1785. Sir, your letter of the 28th of May from The Hague does me great honor. The expression of it is too flattering not for me to regret that my merits fall far short of the compliments you have paid me. I shall consider it forever as a mark of your politeness, whilst I have the honor of assuring you of the esteem and respect with which I am, sir, your most obedient and most humble, George Washington. George Washington's life and leadership have left an indelible mark on the history of the United States. His legacy as a statesman, military leader, and symbol of the American spirit remains as relevant today as it was in the early days of the nation. That's the story of President George Washington. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these messages of inspiration and hope, please like, subscribe, and share them with family and friends. And until we meet again, please remember, with God, anything is possible. Spot.